So if you own a 2009 or 2010 F-150 equipped with that 3-valve 4.6 liter and you're looking for one of the most affordable cold air intakes in order to enjoy some better horsepower and torque and throttle response, then you found it. Talking about the K&N Series 57 FIPK cold air intake. And at around the $300 price point, this will currently be the least expensive full intake upgrade. I say that because any options that cost less than the Series 57 will typically include just an air filter and an air box, and you'll be retaining that factory intake tube. Now, I'm not a huge fan of that factory intake tube. I'll show you a comparison in a little bit, but I just don't think it flows air very well, and it kind of looks ugly underneath the hood in my humble opinion, so the 57 does a good job of cleaning that up. Now, even though this is an open element design, K&N still does a great job of reusing the bottom half of the factory air box, and when the hood is down with the weather stripping installed on the intake itself, you won't have to worry about any of that hot engine bay air getting into the motor, killing power. So even though it's an open element design, it is still a true cold air intake design. I'm also happy to say that this does not require a tune. It's CARB certified, so it's street legal in all 50 states. So if you live in California or one of those emissions restrictive states, you can still enjoy the performance and you still get to pass your emissions and inspection. This intake also installs very easily. There's a bolt-on job, no cutting or drilling required. You can definitely do this with basic hand tools. In fact, you really only need a socket and maybe a flathead screwdriver, but I'll show you all the tools and I'll show you the install steps in just a moment. At any rate, it gets a very simple 1 out of 3 wrenches on my difficulty meter. It shouldn't take us more than an hour or two to get this installed. So again, if you're looking for one of the most affordable cold air intake upgrades for the 09 or 10 4.6 liter F-150, you should be checking out the Series 57. And if you decide to stick with this one as opposed to some of the other options, then you can come back to this video and we'll get started on that install. To install your intake, you'll need a standard drive ratchet, an 8mm socket, a T20 Torx bit, and a 3mm and 4mm Allen key. Optional but helpful tools include an extension and a flathead screwdriver. All right, so removing the factory intake is very straightforward. All you're gonna need is that 8mm socket and your ratchet. Helpful to have an extension because some of those clamps are kind of buried in there. But there's 4 primary steps. The first thing you gotta do is disconnect your Maf sensor. There's a little red tab on there. Go ahead and pop that tab free with a little flathead screwdriver or your fingernails, and go ahead and pop the Maf sensor out. Once you've done that, you're gonna disconnect the clamp securing the intake tube to the throttle body. We're gonna pop our breather hose here for our crankcase blow-by. That's the ventilation right there. Then we're gonna pop off the top of the actual air box itself. There's a little bit of metal clamps down here. You don't need any tools for those. Just pry at them with your thumb and then we can actually pull the entire intake out of the engine as one piece. All right, so we have our factory intake removed. Before you discard it though, you have to make sure you pull your Maf sensor out of there. I'll show you how to do that in just a second. But I want to keep both of these on the table here, that way you guys can get a nice comparison of our original intake and the new K&N series. A couple cool things to point out here. Obviously that factory air tube is really ugly, right? We got all these crazy boxes on there and things like that. We're ditching that in favor of a really simple free-flowing design here. It's going to clean up the looks underneath the hood. I also like the fact that we're going from the closed element box here to an open element design. This is awesome because when the hood is up, you can see that nice high flow filter under there, but with the hood down, you still get all that insulation, so you get all that nice cold, dense air to the motor. Now, to pull out that Maf sensor, you're gonna need a T20 Torx bit. You're not gonna need that when we install on the new intake. I'll show you guys that in just a second. But go ahead and grab one of those T20 Torx bits, go ahead and pop that Maf sensor out of there. All right, before we install the Maf sensor into the tube itself, we have to install this little adapter plate here. You also want to make sure you have this little foam grommet on the bottom that's going to help seal it. Now you want to position it like so, grab 2 of these Allen head bolts with flat washers, and a 4mm Allen key. You want to get these nice and tight so that you can press that grommet underneath to help seal it. All right, with the adapter plate in place, you're going to be using these smaller Allen head bolts to secure the Maf sensor itself. And you'll need a smaller 3mm Allen key. And when you go to put the Maf sensor in place, you want to make sure this little diode is facing towards the element itself. All right, with our Maf sensor in place, you can set the intake tube aside. Next, we're going to grab our plastic coupler here. This is our little adapter for our new air filter. and you're going to secure it to the new air box using the 2 remaining Allen head bolts with that 4mm Allen key. Again, you'll need flat washers on these as well. All right, now that that coupler is inserted and tightened down, we're going to install our air filter. Make sure you have that large band clamp on the end of the air filter first. Make sure it's seated nice and flush, and then you're going to be tightening that down with your 8mm socket. All right, so our air filter and our tube are all set up. Before you go ahead and throw this in place, make sure you got your weather stripping on top and on bottom. You just gotta make sure you cut this one in half before you throw it in place. Once you've done that, we'll go ahead and throw this into our factory air box, then we'll install our rubber couplers for our intake tube, get all our final connections in place, and we'll be done. All right, so when we go to throw our new heat shield in place, you wanna line up these little teeth or fittings, if you will, with the holes on the bottom of the factory air box. Make sure it slides in all the way. All right, once the new air box is lined up with the bottom half, you're going to secure it using 2 of the 3 original clamps. All right, now we're going to install both of our rubber couplers for our intake tube. One's going to be going on the throttle body and one on the air box, and you'll need your clamps set up like so with your 8mm socket. All right, now we got both rubber couplers and clamps in place, we can throw our intake tube in place and tighten it down. All right, now that our intake tube is in place, we're going to install our extension here for our Maf sensor. All right, last thing we need to do is reconnect our breather hose for our crankcase. All right, so once you got your Maf sensor and your breather hose reconnected, that'll wrap up this very easy install. And that also wraps up my review of K&N's Series 57 FIPK cold air intake fitting your 2009 or 2010 3-valve 4.6-liter powered F150. I'm Travis, thanks for watching, and for all things F150, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.